Welcome back. 2024 Democratic presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. joins me. Nice to see you.
Good to see you. Good to be back with you, Greta.
Thank you. I want to talk to you about foreign policy, but first, because I just want to come off the news tonight, I don't think there's one family in this country that hasn't been touched by alcohol and by drugs. Hunter Biden as the perfect example. It's not whether he has a drug problem or an alcohol problem. It's a question that President Biden has says that he trusts him. He's done nothing wrong. Is that a political liability for the president going into this election or not?
You know, Greta, I haven't been following the story with the, with the kind of attention that a lot of people have, and I haven't read the indictment. I certainly haven't read the settlement, which I think was just announced a couple of hours ago. I was listening with real fascination to the questions that you and your guests raised about the issue, but I don't think that my uninformed speculation will add anything to the debate.
Okay, then let's go to foreign policy. All right, let me start with China. If you're elected president, is your China policy, what would be sort of your thought about China? Would it be a different foreign policy than the current Biden administration, or would it be something a little bit different? How do you see China?
Well, I think there are, first of all, I think that China is interested in world domination, but I don't think China wants to fight us, to confront America on a military battlefield, on a military landscape. I think it's projecting economic power around the country. We have 800 bases around the world. China has 1.5. We spend 3 times more than China on our military, and we spend more than the top 10 nations combined. China doesn't want a war with us, but it does want to compete with us, and it wants to dominate us on the economic landscapes. I'm not scared of that kind of confrontation. I think America, with our freedom in this country, with our what Franklin Roosevelt called America's industrial genius, our entrepreneurial spirit, we can compete with China and anywhere in the world as long as we stop spending all of our money, wasting our money on these military expenditures that are bankrupting our middle class, destroying our industrial base. Rather de-escalate the military conflicts, the saber rattling, reject economic power. As it turns out, people like it. We've spent $8.1 trillion since 2000 universities and hospitals, and as it turns out, it's a better way of making friends around the world. People want to deal with China because they like the no strings attached investments in their economies. We ought to be competing on that landscape and not on, and not just restricting our competition to the military. We ought to be de-escalating. And I think there's people in the White House now who want a war with Taiwan, and that's not a good thing for anybody. That will be World War III.
How do we turn this around, though? Because we've got China developing some sort of spy satellite base in Cuba, discussion about that. They had a spy balloon go over the United States. They're saber rattling in Taiwan. They've got that hypersonic missile that can evade our defense system. We have nothing to protect ourselves from. So, we all want to de-escalate. How do you actually get people to de-escalate? How do you get President Xi Jinping to say, you're right, let's de-escalate, we'll stop doing this?
Well, we're building military bases and have a huge military presence in the South China Sea. Of course, China is going to feel justified putting a military presence in our hemisphere. And, when in 1962, when Khrushchev put missiles in Cuba, he did that because we had put Jupiter missiles in Turkey. And as soon as my uncle met with Ambassador Dobrynin, and said to him, we will remove our nuclear missiles from Turkey if you remove them from Cuba, Khrushchev did so. So I think, there's no guarantees that the Chinese will end their presence in our hemisphere, the military presence, if we agree to do something, de-escalate over there. I think there's a good chance they will, and we won't know until we at least sit down and negotiate with them about these issues, and that's what we need to do. We've refused to negotiate with Russia about anything, and when you do that, you cast your adversary as an enemy, as somebody who can't even be talked to. It is a formula for war. And, my uncle understood that. He said, you got to be able to put yourself in the shoes of your adversary and understand their cultural, their national security interests, their national security anxieties, their cultural and historical perspective. And until we start doing that and talking to people, our adversaries, we're not going to de-escalate. But I believe the world wants to de-escalate. And everybody in the world, nobody wants a war between Russia and the United States, and we don't need one. And we can fight them on an economic landscape, and we can prevail.
Do you worry about this? I mean, what we've just talked about is there's a hardware war. I mean, we sell weapons all over the world, and and I realize everyone's sort of building up, different countries building up. But what I worry about is a WMD like a virus, like a gain of function. Something. Do you worry about that? Because I see that as sort of the next big fight. Because those viruses don't see any borders. And they're relatively cheap to do, this gain of function. I mean, it's just so, that's what I worry about more than the big hardware.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And we know that the Chinese are developing ethnic bioweapons, bioweapons that are designed to attack people of certain racial types. And we're doing the same thing. We've been collecting Chinese DNA. We've been collecting Russian DNA specifically for that. This arms race is a catastrophe. In 1969, we had developed by then nuclear equivalency with bioweapons. So we could eliminate the same numbers of people with bioweapons at, I think, 29 cents a death. They calculated, the Defense Department and the CIA calculated at that time. And President Nixon did the most extraordinary thing. He went to Fort Detrick and he said, we are unilaterally ending the bioweapons arms race. We are giving up all of our bioweapons. We're going to destroy them. We're going to disable the capacity at Fort Detrick, and we're not going to make them anymore. And 3 years later, almost all the nations on the earth signed a charter stopping bioweapons production. And the problem was, the CIA continued to do secret bioweapons production in our country. The Russians found out about that and rejigged their program. And then after 2001, we passed the Patriot Act, which reopened the arms race, which basically canceled out Nixon's 1979 agreement treaty and launched a new bioweapons arms race, and everybody else in the world is doing it. And the impacts, as you point out, Greta, are horrific. We need to stop it. We need to go to all those nations, and we need to say to them, let's get rid of all the bioweapons. I'll give you one other issue that is really frightening to me, is AI. Elon Musk said AI, first it's going to take our jobs, then it's going to kill us. We cannot allow the uncontrolled development of AI around the world. We need to be negotiating with Russia, with the Chinese, with the Iranians. We need to stop the wars, stop the saber rattling, and negotiate directly with them to figure out how we are going to have treaties in place that control this out-of-control AI development that is an existential threat to all of us.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to say to you before I say goodbye, I want you to come back and talk about AI, because I'm working on many more things related to AI in terms of covering it as news. So I know you have a foreign policy speech tonight, so good luck with that. But I do want you to commit to coming back to talking about AI.
Absolutely, anytime, Greta.
Anyway, thank you, sir. 2024 Democratic presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.